Bolt the door, strap yourselves in, and hold on for dear life. He's back live from the studios of 106.7 My Talker Radio. It's Curtis Wright on the beat.
He's in studio. It's good we have enough room. I think he's going to get up and start dancing.
You got
here.
good bumper music.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Megan. She's in. Megan, she'll take credit for that. She takes credit for everything. And the voice you hear there is Skip Watkins. He is the Republican candidate for New Hanover County Commission. One of how many are there now?
Well, there's
it's like the Bible, the movie The Bible, or the Ten Commandments.
Well, let's just say we could have a basketball team and have 5 sitting on the bench.
Okay, good. Okay, there we go. So he's one of many, and we're here to again talk about his campaign, but also I want to talk about some issues. Oh, and before we get to the issues, I want to get a little feedback from the street, so to speak. You're out there and you're talking to folks and you're meeting with folks, and you've been real active in this campaign. What are the top 3 things, if there are 3, but what are the top 3 things that folks are really approaching you on without you soliciting it? What are they saying to you?
No question. In fact, the other day, this past weekend, we have a little vacation place up in Surf City, and somebody thought I was running for Onslow County Commission, as a matter of fact. But the number one thing I always hear is keep my taxes low. The number 2 thing is crime. A third would probably be, if I had to, that comes almost unsolicited, is what are you going to do about jobs? But the job, really the first 2 probably are the biggest ones, taxes and crime.
Well, in the taxes, are we still hearing, I hear all the time from folks, and I'm one of them, about the cost of our Cape Fear Public Utility Authority that was shed by the city and the county. I think they just announced another rate increase last month.
That's the quite frankly, I hate to say a right, but I guess that's the power of an authority. We're going to have to find a way to work with that. I don't know the answer. There's a lot of things I have an opinion on. That one, really, I don't know how to wrap my head around. I watched the Cape Fear Public Utility Authority meetings on the public access channel.
Oh, that must be exciting.
Oh, it is. It's like, well, Valerie comes in, my wife, Val comes in and goes, oh my God, and she walks up, whether it's, I still watch city council meetings, I still watch county commissioner when I don't go, I still watch Cape Fear Public Utility, I even watched Carolina Beach the other night, but that's not my, you don't want to see what's going on.
So you just throw that thing out there. I was watching a county commissioner meeting, and, I have been doing this for so long that you're looking at the guy, along with one other guy, who started that movement to say, don't you think it's about time that we should be doing it? But, and here's something about that, not to get off on a tangent. We really, really, really want it to be done from a conservative point of view, and that was, you've got the university, you've got the public schools, right across the street we can throw a stone, and we've got the city. Can't we all get together, work together with all this equipment that we have and all these different staffs, and do it for the county commission, maybe as an intern program because we already pay the college? Oh, no, we have to have our own. And today, this is a perfect example of things that, Skip, I wish conservatives would truly act on. And today, we're not just taping the county commissioners. We have our own television station.
Yeah.
It's why?
I wasn't. To be honest, I wasn't a part of it back then. I'm glad we at least have the information out there, and maybe there is a way to bring that. I mean, golly, if we're paying, especially the community college. I mean, nothing against UNCW.
Oh yeah, 2 blocks down the street, they got theirs.
Yeah. In fact, you and I both spoke this past week at UNCW. Saw you. Was it Wednesday?
Yeah.
So you and I both support the university, but the community college, that's where the rubber hits the road. And yes, that would be almost a no-brainer for me if it was being designed.
Number 3 on your list is cooperation.
Yes.
We will never improve New Hanover County until everybody works together. The citizens of Wilmington, beach communities, and others.
Yeah.
I want to maybe take a step before that. With what we are facing in this country, the realities now of the global economy, a country that has put itself in debt, and sadly, look at the city of Wilmington. They seem to have money for everything but doing what's the job of government, and then when it comes to that, they have to go out and borrow it. Why? And I don't. Some people have called it consolidation. I call it maybe. Can we start with just cooperation? We've got all these resources in such a small area. Couldn't we get together, and the schools and the college and the university and the city of Wilmington, couldn't we share our resources to get the cost of government down?
I sit on the board of directors for something. I'm not going to go into that, but nobody wants to give up power. And that's what it comes down to, I'm afraid. And you're correct. We need to find a way to put egos aside, look at what government is. Most of our governments, with the exception of the city council, are heavily Republican. You know, the beach communities, the county commission. And I believe that there are those on city council that would also could be approached if they saw the overwhelming, yes, we've got to find a way. Good God. I mean, I've heard it argued that I think we're the second smallest geographically.
Right.
I've heard different ways. But we're one of the most densely populated, one of the smallest. It's got to be economies of scale, Curtis.
And I mean, even look at the sheriff's department and the city police department. You know, I know that I don't know how much control we have over the sheriffs, but they're all over each other. And I'm going, come on. I mean, it's 2014. Can't you guys, do your thing here, and can't we do it there? And couldn't we reduce this? I mean, this cost of government is way too much. Anyway, this leads me to another thing, and I know that people out there are going to go, oh, there he goes again. I asked one of your challengers in this race who talked about these type of issues, and I said, well, how about this? All these years, Republicans have controlled the county commission. And I sat there at 12:01 one night years ago when Mr. Bill Castor told us, as one of his lectures, that he was only going to vote for Airlie Gardens because it's going to be self-sufficient. And $14–15 million later, it's not self-sufficient. In fact, they bury it now in the Parks Department budget, so you can't see it.
Right.
Why, if you become county commissioner, when you become, I asked your challengers, why can't Republicans go in there and take for one example of a promise that was made and say, you know what, I'm going to keep that promise. $14 million we have spent since that promise was made that we were never supposed to spend. I don't know about you, but $14 million is a lot of money.
And I got to be honest, I don't recall that actual statement. Excuse me, getting over a cold by Commissioner Castor. But I can say that if I had to look at any department or departments that exist in that cooperative effort we talked about a minute ago, it would be the Parks Department.
Yeah, there's a perfect example. Yeah,
and of course, again, there are. When you're sitting here going asking for votes, you don't want to make anybody mad, but sometimes you just got to speak your mind. There are enough people that are near retirement that we could work with, and I've actually researched this, so it's not just off the cuff. There's enough people, Curtis, that are near retirement that we could have a compassionate consolidation of some services, whether it is Parks and Rec exactly. And see, the city has a Parks and Rec department. The county just has a Parks department, and the recreation is handled by the Optimist clubs and such like that. So there are some. They're not perfectly overlapped. And I got to admit, both of our children were products of the Optimist Ball League, softball for our daughter and baseball for our son, and I think they've done a wonderful job. But I mean, how many lawnmowers do you need? How many tractors do you need? How many supervisors do you need? But I'd like to do that with some compassion, because what is it they'll say? And it's a recession when your neighbors doesn't have a job, and it's a depression when you don't have a job. So I think we could do that efficiently and compassionately at the same time. Now, is it going to be perfect? I don't know, because I'm not there yet. But yes, the Parks Department. As for Airlie, I have not dug into the deep
and I'm bringing that up. I know people don't like hearing me because, see, I've been around so long, I remember all these things. Oh, the same at the convention center. It was going to be.
We don't go there yet.
And there's an issue there I want to talk about, because now, we knew this was coming. You know what flows downhill? Well, it's flowing downhill from Washington to Raleigh to us about beach renourishment. And now we're going to be paying more of our local dollars, and I don't think we're going to get a refund from the federal government for a responsibility they're walking away from. So we'll talk about that when we get back. I'm Curtis Wright on The Beat.
The one that just drives you crazy.
Driving will never be the same.
Curtis Wright is On the Beat, the new 106.7 My Talker Radio.
Hey, we're back live here on The Beat. I'm Curtis Wright, 820 across southeastern North Carolina. My guest this morning, Republican candidate for the new Hanover County Commission, Mr. Skip Watkins.
Have you seen
The
any?
most laid back, yeah, you got to be the most laid back, casual person that I have interviewed for years.
You know why?
You just, it's like, well, come on, can't we just pull out another cup of coffee and kick back?
Do you know why I'm that way?
Why is
A
that?
long time ago, I used to be a very angry person. Mom and Dad, great people, but I don't know, I just had this angry thing. And one time, I had to face myself. And if I wanted to point one finger at you, there were three pointing back at me. And I realized that, I don't take myself that seriously. I try to be a good dad, a good husband, and, if people don't like me, I'm sorry. I am Skip. I'm a clear plastic bag. Some of you see a brown paper bag. I'm a clear plastic bag. This is me. I've been putting out yard signs the last have you seen any yard signs around lately?
Mm-hmm. I've seen your yard signs.
Well, there's others out there too. But I'll stand at the intersection or crossover trying to get. I'll just stand there and wave at people while I'm putting them out, and they blow the horn. One of my competitors, I'm not going to say out of respect, one of my competitors called me and said, "My God, you look so natural out there. So you were having fun." But I'm standing on the side. But I love people. You could drop me in Moscow today. What time is it right now? It's 20 minutes after 8, give or take. I would be eating lunch with somebody in Moscow, and I don't speak Russian, and I wouldn't be paying for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's pretty clear to me
Thank you.
From your, back and forth we've had that you love this community.
I do.
And I love this community. And, it's sad because we have people in this community that have a lot of personal motivations in what they do over the years and have misunderstood a lot of folks, those who have been born and bred here and those of us who've come here. This is my 20th year. And see, they forget that we love it too, and we don't want it to not change, like not in my backyard thing. No, we don't want it to be damaged. And also, we have a lot more faith that we could do things better and we could do them right so it doesn't come back to haunt us.
Most of it's common sense.
One of the things that, of course, we talked about, I'm talking about we in the community, and we knew, and it has come true, was what you're doing in funding this convention center is you are taking away from the most important asset we have, revenue generator, and that is our beaches. That's who we are.
Yep.
We're not a convention center community. We are a beach community.
Correct.
And people flock here for generations because of us. And the beach renourishment program, we were already being advised, and so were our elected officials, that the government's in trouble. And you watch, they're going to continue to cut back, and they're going to say to you, hey, well, look what they did on the Intercoastal Waterway. You want to fix it? You go do it. And that's wrong because, like I said, we don't get a discount from the government, our federal taxes going, oh, okay, if you do it, then we'll give you some money back. So here we are, and this is a great concern. I know a number of years ago, and Bobby Greer, I'll give him credit, said, you better watch what we do here because, if we continue to do this, the federal government's going to go, oh, look at those guys in New Hanover County.
They can do it themselves.
They're doing it, so let's just keep pushing them.
Right.
So where are we? I mean, have you checked this out, and where are we? And I'm just concerned that we're going to have to, the taxpayers, take on more and more of this responsibility. And is it time, maybe, if that's happening, for us to go back to the state legislature and say, look, the convention center's had it 7 or 8 years. Now let's change the formula back the way it was.
Well, it's going to have to take state legislature because it's not going to happen otherwise. Because
Right.
we talked about giving up power earlier. I read these things to try to understand how, even though Wilmington is a microcosm, we have to look at it from I teach economics, as you know, it's a microeconomic thing. I have to look at things macro. Take Alaska out of the equation. 10% of the 10% of the U.S. population lives on the coastal counties. It's grown like 40%. 50% of America lives within 50 miles of a coast. Again, take away Alaska. So,
and by the way, the new report and map that just came out, as people know, that we are now one of the fastest growing counties again.
And we can't stick our head. I'm running for New Hanover County Commission, but we can't stick our head in the sand. We've got Pender and Brunswick. It really is a part of our metro area. We've got to accept that, and we've got to plan that way. My cooperation, I probably need to update my website because we need to reach out to Pender and Brunswick as well, because obviously my mandate will be New Hanover County. But if God forbid, if we can't get a business, a factory, a service, whatever, in New Hanover, but it happens to land across the bridge in Brunswick, hey, our sales tax, 75%, give or take, of our revenue for the county comes from either ad valorem on property or from sales tax. So if we can do something to augment, increase those organically, then we've hit a home run. As far as the beach renourishment, I mentioned Surf City a minute ago. They've got bulldozers literally right now at low tide. They're pushing sand from the shore. We saw it yesterday, sand from the shore up to the dunes. Now that is, I call it poor man's beach renourishment. In Surf City, I'm not picking on you. I actually respect what you're doing. But for us,
but a lot of the beach communities have to do what they can because
exactly,
with what they've got, because
exactly,
the government has not fulfilled its responsibility.
Exactly, and they're doing what they can with what they've got,
right.
and so they don't hang themselves out there. We have got to, Wilmington is I was asked about the brand of Wilmington, and part of it is tourism. We've got to address that. The revenue that's generated from property taxes because people can rent their homes or hotels or restaurants and sales tax. Again, we've got to recognize that. And the quality of life. If you look at Wilmington, North Carolina, to bring your widget factory or your service industry here, by the way, I look forward to, we have a little pharma and a little technology enclave going on here. That's one of my focuses. I really think we can grow that. But if you're looking at Wilmington or Norfolk or Savannah or Charleston, if you need a port, or if you're looking something near I-95, what does Wilmington offer? And, a friend of mine said, well, Myrtle Beach, beaches, I said, well, we don't have the money Myrtle Beach has. But we do have to find a way, and I don't, yes, we're going to have to go to Raleigh, and we're going to have to go to Washington. I'm willing to go.
A perfect example was, and by the way, for all the folks on the Wilmington City Council, let me clarify again to the community. They went to the state to get authorization to change the formula to take the money away and fund the convention center. They can also go back to the state legislature and change that formula back. So anybody who tells them otherwise is incorrect. And it really bothered me that they misled the community that way. But, look at where we are. And I said this to one of your challengers. We were supposed to make millions of dollars off of Airlie. Okay, I know I sound like a broken record, but I've been here long enough to be told that we were going to make millions of dollars off the convention center. And then we were going to make millions of dollars off of this. We were going to make millions of dollars by doing, no more doing trailers. We have a new design for schools, and that's going to save us millions of dollars. So I could go on with this, as I said to one of your challengers. I've been here 20 years. I'm waiting for the windfall.
Well, I wanted to say one thing first. I happen to have personal knowledge of what Airlie Foundation is trying to do, and I won't say they inherited a problem, but they are truly trying to do the best they can do.
No. I'm not attacking them. What I'm saying is, when do we finally get the windfall that the politicians always promise us?
All right, Curtis, name me one government business that makes money. Name one. Name one entity. Even in the Constitution, we have to have.
Well, no. Even saving us millions would be nice, wouldn't it?
Or break even.
I mean, look at the Cape Fear Public Utilities target. Aren't we still like $300 million in the hole or something?
Well,
we got $300 million of backlog and capital needs at the public schools. We've got blah blah blah. I mean, and by the way, there's the public schools. We were going to build our schools. Right. We're going to share parks with the schools.
Yes.
Now we don't have a duplication of resources.
There's some issues there.
Millions. Well, and then they said, no, we don't want to do that.
Well, I don't want to give too many of my secrets away, but one of the things that I feel very passionate about, I mentioned earlier, was crime. I said it in the city race, and people might say, well, why are you worried about it? Because what happens, we're in trouble. Now, our rate has gone down. The rate in this region has gone down, thanks to whatever efforts, whomever, and I'm not going to... Crime rate has gone down. However, it is still well above average. When you have a school gymnasium that shuts down at X whatever time at night or on the weekends, I would love to preserve the integrity and the safety and the quality of the hardwood floors, et cetera, but why aren't they available? It's public money. It's not. It's there. Why can't kids go play ball? Why can't kids go kick a softball? Kick a kickball on a field somewhere. We've got to look at that.
Well,
everybody.
And that's the other thing. I mean,
share
and look at the
library
went through this. And it's like every time we turn around, we were like getting less, and I never quite understood where's that windfall.
We have to utilize everything as best we can.
We'll finish. Can you want to stay for a few seconds and we'll
Sure,
wrap this thing
sure,
up?
Sure.
I'm Curtis Wright. I'm here with Skip Watkins.
And I'm Skip Watkins. I'm here with Curtis Wright.
See, you give a politician an inch and he'll take the microphone. We'll be right back.
Did you miss him? Well, then let's get back to Curtis Wright on the beat.
That ain't American.
We're back live here with Skip. And no, you can't hear what we were talking about off mic, but we can get back on mic.
Hey, if you never need to take a break one day, I want your show. You know.
Okay, yeah, everybody wants my show, and you might know that's happened a few times. Let's talk about the crime situation.
Yes.
Last time I looked, you know, and I know I'm sounding like an old man these days. I have been here 20 years. We got a large sheriff's department.
Mm-hmm. 38 million.
And I saw them all over when the fire took place over near my house, and I must have saw 30 cars pull up, all to talk to the person who was there to direct traffic. I'm not quite sure what that was all about, especially at $3.75 a gallon. But we have the Wilmington Police Department. And then we have all kinds of other things that we have, the resources that go along with all of this. And, you know, I just don't understand this. You know, and you said something earlier, and this is a problem I've had for years, and maybe it's because I was from the private sector. I really don't care if what the, quote, rate is. I think the crime in this community is appalling for our community.
Right, it's relative to where you live.
I don't care about Charlotte.
Correct.
I don't care about Raleigh. I don't care about New York.
Right.
I care about Wilmington. And in Wilmington, crime was unacceptable.
We had a shootout last week.
And the people, every day, I come in here every day and I see 3 or 4 or 5 stories, and they go, well, that's the reality of life. No, for a community like ours who attracts people who want to retire and raise their families in a different environment.
Yes.
We need to preserve that because that's an income generator. That's revenue generator.
Well, it's part of our, you know, there's a lot of things socially. You know, economics, as I mentioned earlier, was a thing of mine, and one of my things is social economics. And I think part of it is, you know, we're rats in a cage because we are packed in tight. We have, but nationwide, and I'm not taking anything away from our local law enforcement, but nationwide we've got this problem. Statewide we've got this problem, and locally we have this problem. So I think it's an extension, quite frankly, of the social engineering we tried to do 40, 50 years ago. I think.
How'd that work out?
Yeah. How's that work? How's that hopey changey thing working for you?
Yeah.
But from locally, we have got to find a way to, and it's not all gangs, but it does seem to be a lot of gangs. I found out that heroin is cheaper, basically per buzz, or whatever you call it. The guy described to me than marijuana. It's like $8, $10 a pack. You know, heroin in Wilmington. I thought that was gone. You know, I mean,
I have sat at this seat now full time for about 8.5 years. I have been on the air for 20 years, and I have interviewed people for almost a decade in law enforcement, chiefs, sheriffs, that have continually told me the problem is growing, the problem is growing, the problem is growing, and because of our location. And my attitude now, or my perspective now is, if you kept telling me it was growing, then why didn't we do something about it? Because it's a lot cheaper to do it as it's growing than now sit here and try to push it all back in the box.
You know, I agree with you, but I have this philosophy of life. This is a Skipism. The windshield of life is big, and the rearview mirror is little. We're going forward, and I agree with you.
Let me ask you a question, though. My question is this, though. Is it another situation where we're doing a lot of things that aren't the job of government, and that money's going there where it should have first gone to law enforcement and crime?
I have no disagreement with that.
Because you've looked into the budget. I mean, that's one of your issues, to look fiscal.
Yes.
Fiscal guidance is
Yes.
number one.
Number one.
Have we done a good enough job in this community? And I'm not accusing anyone. I'm asking a question. Have we done enough job, a good enough job, to get county government back in its box? Of what it's supposed to do, not what we...
We've not gotten there yet, but we are. I will give the most current commission credit for really pushing it. How can I say this? You actually used a number. You actually were right, I think. 85%
is mandated.
Yeah, but it's mandated. But how we deliver that can be modified.
Right.
And so that's one thing.
And again, I said it the other day on the air to one of your competitors. I'll give Jason Thompson, I know everybody just dropped their coffee, some credit. And what he believed the county commission's position was to be, to represent us, is push back on the state.
Right.
And say, I know you keep saying it's 85%. Well, maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe it should be 70%.
Well, there's an article, there's something coming out. I don't want to drop any credit for any other media outlets, but there'll be a release of candidate opinions for too long, and one of them I said is I'll go. They asked, how do you deal with the unfunded mandates? And I said, well, first of all, legally we've got to deliver what the state requires, but how we do it we can look at. And the second thing we can do with an unfunded mandate is go to Raleigh, or go to Washington, and I'm willing to do that. I mean, I don't.
Well, the state has changed. I mean,
Yes.
we have changed
Yes.
the political structure in North Carolina. Isn't it time now for all of us to get together and jump on the bandwagon with all of our new leaders? By the way, super majorities
Yes.
and a Republican governor to
Yes.
say, hey, you know what? Let's stop that. Let's start cutting this back.
And I would not be surprised to see that, because what I think they did is they attacked the whales and the elephants in the room for, well, I guess others, but they attacked what they could first, or they worked on what they could do first. I would not be surprised. We shortened unemployment. Mm-hmm. We were $2.5 trillion in the hole to the feds. We're down to $1.5 trillion now, I think it is. But we cut unemployment back now. Granted, is there somebody who might have got personally hurt by that? Maybe, but you need an incentive to go back to work. If you know your unemployment's running out, you go and get up and go to work.
Tell me, let me ask you a question. I know this is the question nobody likes to answer, especially Charlie Rivenbark, who will never come back on my show. Do we have you or will you look seriously at the overhead personnel costs of county? And I'm not saying put somebody on the street without a job.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, look, we look over at the university, and it came up in the last couple of years, and now people are going, holy smokes, look at the overhead. Look at, there's a provost, the assistant provost, the assistant to the assistant. Are you comfortable that we've really looked at that personnel structure? In private sector, you just spoke the other day at the college to a bunch of kids about business.
Right.
We all know that can kill a company in a heartbeat.
Valerie and I had a part of a business years ago. I won't say what it was, but we were in a majority. She was in a minority ownership. And I went in one day, first day I'd ever been in there, and I saw all these people, and I thought we had customers. They were employees. They were bumping into each other. And I said, baby, there's too many employees. That was something that had to be addressed. In government, it's easy to put a department head somewhere and say, okay, you're in charge of that cubicle over there, and Skip, you're in charge of that cubicle over here in the northeast corner, and Curtis, you're in charge of the one in the southwest corner. And we have, again, 300 to 400 county employees that are coming up for retirement in the next few years. Same with the city. Not quite the numbers, but I haven't got the exact numbers. It is time to do a study. I can't speak to the city. It's time for the county to do a study and see what departments have these upcoming vacancies, where attrition can carry us.
Right, there you go.
And not necessarily replace it. And if it means consolidating a department, someone asked me about the consolidation of the department.
But don't just skip over what you said.
Okay.
That is a compassionate and responsible and reasonable way to do it.
Almost painless, not painless,
Yes.
but almost painless. But then look at a career person and say, hey, if you want that responsibility, then now instead of having 50 people, you've got 62 people or something like that. Yes. Are you?
You're in the private sector right now.
Oh, God,
are
yes.
you working harder today than you did because of this economy?
Yeah. Well, yes.
Well, I am.
I've always worked hard.
And I know that everybody I know is working harder.
Wait. I only work a half a day. Whether it's the first 12 hours or the second 12 hours, that's up to me.
But, everybody's working harder. It's the reality of the economy.
Yes, it is.
And I'm sorry. Sometimes I wonder, are they working in government as hard? In some places, they've left half their employees go, and the other half has to. Lucky to have a job, and they work harder.
Historically, there have been studies done, things I've read, that in the old days, you went to work for government, and you got a lower pay rate, but you had great benefits.
That's right.
And then in the private sector, you got greater benefit. You got greater pay, but maybe not as good benefits. We've almost flip-flopped that now, that you get better pay and better benefits both in the government sector, and those studies are widespread. That's not something Skip's making up.
Fiscal guidance. I'm almost out of time here.
All right.
The one thing. You sound like, what's his name on the horse, right? One thing. What's the one thing that you're going to look at? You want to look at first? You're a county commissioner today. That's that one thing in what we spend money on, or that I want to go take a look at.
Probably human services, health and human services, DSS, health department, because there is a potential merger. The only way I'd support that merger is if both integrities of both departments were guaranteed, not guaranteed.
You're talking about the quality of service.
Quality of service and the mandate that each serve, not going to be mixed together, but we've got to find a way, and I think that's one of them.
Skip Watkins, make sure you check out his website, which
is
Skip
Watkins, the number 4, commission.com.
And this interview will be up on the website, so you can pass it around and make fun of him.
Hey, early voting starts April 24th.
That's right, April 24th.
At the Government Center. And, yeah, Megan's trying to tell us to get off the air.
Okay. Thank you, Skip, for coming in. Folks, we'll be right back and wrap it up here on The Beat.
Please stand by for a very important announcement.
Curtis Wright is on The Beat.
You are out of control.
The new 106.7.
That's beautiful.
My Talker Radio.